What's going on, everyone? It is Kellen here from Starter Systems, and welcome back to MX Bikes. And if you guys were with us last week, we played the opening round of the ARL playoffs, SMX championship, whatever it is they're calling it this year. And it was a very technical track, very difficult track. And I said at the time, someone else is probably going to build this track. Someone else is probably going to build an updated version of this track to reflect what we see in real life. And I will bet as well that someone else who makes it will make it easier. And look at that. Within a day, we already had a updated rendition of the track. This is the 2025 SMX Playoffs Round 1 Charlotte by Steezy Studios, specifically is what he's known as now, I guess, even though it's Steezy MX on MXB Mods, and Smokesta. And this track is for free, so you don't even need to pay like the ARL tracks to get this one. It is an updated version of the obvious Round 1 of the SMX Playoffs. And the only thing is that this rhythm section is wildly easier than the real life track, but everything else pretty much matches what we saw IRL. So that's kind of cool. We already have a quick rendition makeover of the real life Charlotte track or Concord track, and we get to play it for free. So all of you guys that maybe are out there and you want to play some SMX, this is the track that you guys could go probably rip now because it's a little bit easier as well. That's another thing with that. It's a little bit more wide open. The ruts are much more forgiving, and the braking bumps and everything like that are a little bit more spaced out. So if you struggled at all with the ARL track, this is one of those tracks where I think you'll find the flow quite easily. I was able to do multiple laps without crashing earlier on, and of course as soon as I start recording I'm going to crash right away. But I do think that generally speaking this is going to be a more fun experience for a majority of players in this game, and the handful that really like a challenge can still go do that ARL track, because I do think the ARL track turned out pretty well, and it was kind of cool to see how it raced as well. But yeah, so round 1 of SMX is done in real life, and just going to kind of quickly update you guys on a couple things from that while we also play this track, because you guys can see the track. You don't need to hear me talk about this track. You know what the track looks like. You know what it raced like IRL from the weekend and stuff like that. But even though I don't do these post-race recap videos that I used to do on the channel anymore, I know some people still do like to get a little bit of real-life updates here and there from me, because if you don't know me at all, I work in the media for motocross and supercross, work for Swap Moto Live, work for Pulp MX and a couple other outlets from time to time, previously worked at Racer X. So I was not there this weekend, but I do know a lot of updates about what happened on the floor from Charlotte, and I know some people are going to be really upset with the whole, the race got called early and the rain and yada yada yada. But here's the deal. So any sporting event now, including some NFL events we've already seen, when there's lightning in the area and the grandstands are wide open and it's not in a dome or anything like that, they always now will take extended precautions, and this obviously directly correlates to the chance or possibility of someone getting struck by lightning, which is ridiculous when you say that, but also it's not impossible. And when there's 40,000 people standing out, basically around a bunch of metal grandstands and stuff like that, it is definitely a little bit more likely than not that it could happen. So they take these precautions. Insurance companies are definitely, erring more on the side of caution with all of this. And when there is lightning strikes of any kind within like an 8-mile radius, they are going to start delaying things, which is exactly what happened. There's a lightning strike in this storm that blew through the track, and then they went on a weather delay, and then there kept being not a lot, but some lightning strikes in the nearby area that they had to remain cautious about this. And I saw some posts that were saying like, well, there was like a minor league baseball game and some other things that were able to still go off that night. And I get that. But the problem that they had at Charlotte specifically was they did not have enough lights out of the motocross section to run a night race, and they had a certain window within daylight to complete it. I think there's a lot of things they could have done about maybe trying to go the next day and stuff like that. And if you really want to know all my real deep thoughts and opinions on that, you can always check out the LVK More Than Moto podcast that I do with Lewis Phillips, because we're going to deep dive this for sure. But I just think that at the end of the day, they were kind of handcuffed by a couple things. They had to act quickly. They were trying to fit into an NBC window that they were on pretty much the entire time that this weather delay was going on, and then they had to go off the air for that. And it sounded like, oh, maybe we still will go racing on Peacock, and then they realized that they were not going to go. And then on top of that, as said by Jason Thomas, the pit reporter, pretty much every single team member and rider down there was saying, yeah, let's just go ahead and call this thing. So they were ready to move on. They did not want to have to deal with waiting it out and then getting their bikes all gnarly beat up from 20 minutes in the mud and stuff like that. And you could certainly say that's a little bit dumb of them, but also they have their reasons. So it sounded like the teams didn't really want to go. Feld was a little bit handcuffed with the lightning and everything like that, and then the AMA obviously makes final decision on everything like that, and eventually they just didn't go. So I'm not that pissed off about all of any of this. It sucks for our sport, to be honest, because this is obviously built up so much more as like a fanfare thing outside of our sport now. It's advertised on NBC as this massive deal. They're trying to pitch to a lot of outside media, ESPN and stuff like that, on why this should be covered more often. And then the opening round of our playoffs is half a race, basically. But also on top of that, you have to consider the fact that there are a lot of races, NASCAR, F1, MotoGP, et cetera, that do half races, basically. NASCAR races, if they go more than halfway, are always called in-rain delays. They'll race Mondays if the race didn't go off at all, or they only got like 11 laps in of a 200-lap race or something like that. But it's rare. More often than not, if there's a weather delay past halfway, they call it. And then there's an F1 race a couple years ago in Belgium where literally they did 2 laps behind the pace car and then called the race because it was too much inclement weather in the area that was going to last all day long. They didn't want to push it into Monday. So literally the world's biggest motorsport didn't even have a full race. They had like this half-ass race that they gave half points to and had a podium based on qualifying from the day before because there's no passes that happen on track under the safety cars. So I don't know. Like, to me, I'm not as up in arms about this as I've seen a lot of people up in arms about this. I don't really think it's going to affect much either because I think the guys that ultimately probably could or should have won the overalls did, because even if you say they rerun them and Joe Shimoda was maybe a little faster than Deegan in Moto 1, all right, maybe Shimoda wins and then suddenly he wins the opening round of the playoffs, but then they would pretty much just be tied on points. So it's not that much of a difference than what we're going to get right now. There's still double and triple points races coming up, and I can tell you the St. Louis race ain't going to be weather delayed because that thing's in a dome, and even though it looks like we go outside of the stadium, we just go under a convention center. So literally the entire thing is indoors, and I highly doubt the Las Vegas race will have anything affected either. So I don't think very much changed at this race. Obviously, people are not going to be thrilled about less racing and, a bit of a shit show, if that's what you want to call it, that was made from this whole thing. But at the end of the day, they still got a race in. More or less half of the race was completed, and they called it at that. So it is what it is. Either way, I think this track ended up being way too gnarly in real life. Rain in the area didn't help. Some of the guys on the track crew were saying that they mellowed stuff out, and then because of the rain making everything a little bit more aggressive and the ruts and everything like that kind of made everything a lot worse, and that's why we saw pretty unfortunate crashes happen. Garrett Marchbanks sounds like he might be out for the playoffs. Julian Beaumer sounds like he might be out for a very long time because he has a burst fracture in his back, which is scary stuff. So hopefully he's going to be okay. Good to see he was already standing and moving around, so you know that he can obviously move all of his limbs and stuff, but that's going to be a long road of recovery for that. And then we saw Seth Hamaker have a huge one, Ryder Malinowski have a huge one. Malcolm Stewart went down big and missed the opening round. So I don't know, man. That track was brutal. This track looks brutal, and I will regurgitate what I said on Friday while playing the ARL version of this track. I am done with drag strips. I don't really like them. I don't think they race very well. I don't like that we have to have so many areas of the track go over the drag strip wall to accommodate a racetrack going in and out of these lanes and stuff like that. So it was cool. It was fun to see it. I'm ready for a change, and if it means we have to go to super speedway tracks like NASCAR, or if we could just go to a dang outdoor track and put some supercross sections on it, I think that'll be fine. I think you'll still get 25, 30,000 fans like you got at Charlotte to come out and watch the SMX race, and it'll also look kind of unique, I think, as well, to have, pick a track, Millville or something like that, have a random supercross section halfway through it. But I digress. I'm not the one making these decisions, nor do I really want to be. So I'll let the powers that be handle that themselves. But this is, of course, the updated SMX Round 1 track from Charlotte, brought to you by Steezy Studios and Smokesta. Shout out to them. Smokesta makes some banger stuff on YouTube. To be honest, I didn't know that he was as well versed on track creation as he is, but I've been checking some stuff out of his lately, and it's awesome. Obviously, Steezy always comes in clutch. I think it's called FSK or FSX something. Round 1 of the playoffs, so just keep an eye on that in your game when you load this in. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this little update on an updated track in the game. Now you can get this track for free, play it, get online with your buddies, have a shred sesh, and also play basically the closest version we're going to get to the IRL Round 1 of SMX. So thanks guys for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. As always, we appreciate you stopping by and watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So long for now.